Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
And I've asked someone to please read Why Are We Here?
My name's Dwight, and I'm an addict.
What's up, Dwight?
Why are we here? Before coming to the fellowship of NA, we cannot manage our own lives. We cannot live and enjoy life as others can do. We had to have something different, and we thought we had found it in drugs. We placed their use ahead of the welfare of our families, our wives, husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves. Through our inability to accept personal responsibility, we were actually creating our own problems. We seemed to be incapable of facing life on its own terms. Most of us realized that our addiction, we were slowly committing suicide. But addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we had lost courage doing nothing about it. Many of us ended up in jail or sought help from medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced or continued to progress until in desperation we sought help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized we were sick people.
Getting better.
Some of us
In which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point. Recovery is impossible.
Thanks, Dwight.
Thanks, Dwight.
Can someone please read how it works?
My name's Brent, I'm an addict.
Hey,
Brent.
If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood it. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood it, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. It sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember,
Easy does it.
Easy does it.
there's one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society in everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug.
Don't do it.
If you are like us, you know that one of the we put great emphasis on this, and we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately. We cannot afford to be confused about this.
Alcohol is a drug.
It's a drug.
We are people with a disease of addiction who must abstain from all drugs in order to recover.
You
Thanks,
understand?
Brent.
They said burn all drugs.
And ask someone to please read the 12 traditions.
It's around here somewhere. I
Okay.
gave you.
Come on, Wade. You got that?
There you go.
Governor,
Hey, hey, Jack.
we keep what we have only with vigilance. Just as freedom for the individual comes from self-defense, so freedom from the group springs from our tradition. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart.
All will be well.
1, our commonwealth rights come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. 2, our group purpose. There's but one of ultimate authority, a loving God, as He may express Himself in a group conflict. Our leaders are the trusted servants, so do not judge. 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, an NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. Such problems of money, property, and prestige are the primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but the service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, a public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal enemy at the level of press, radio, and film. 12, and an enemy is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to understanding these traditions comes slowly over a period of time. We pick up information as we talk to members and visit various groups. It usually isn't until we get involved with service. Someone points out that personal recovery depends on NA unity. And that unity depends on how well we follow our traditions. The 12 traditions of NA are not negotiable. They're the guidelines that keep our fellowship alive and free. By following these guidelines in our dealings with others and society at large, we avoid many problems. Not to say our traditions eliminate our problems, we still have to face difficulties as they arise. Communication problems, difference of opinion, internal controversy, and troubles with individuals and groups outside the fellowship. However, when we apply these principles, we avoid some of the pitfalls. Many of our problems are like those of our predecessors had to face. Their hard-won experience gave birth to these traditions, and our own experience has shown that these principles are just as valid today as they were as when these traditions were formulated. Our traditions protect us from internal and external forces that could destroy us. They are truly the ties that bind us together. It is only through understanding
And application that they do. Thanks, Jack. I've asked someone to please read the clarity statement.
Hello, my name is Mo. I'm a recovering addict.
Hey, Mo.
We are presented with a dilemma. When NA members identify themselves as addicts and alcoholics or talk about living clean and sober, the clarity of the NA mission is blurred. To speak in this manner suggests that there are two diseases, that one drug is somehow separate from the rest, requiring special recognition. Narcotics Anonymous makes no distinction between drugs. Our identification as addicts is all-inclusive, which allows us to concentrate on our similarities, not our differences.
Thanks, Mo.
Thank you, guys.
And I've asked someone to please read the daily meditation from Just for Today.
My name is Taylor. I'm an addict.
Hey.
Thanks, Taylor.
February 9th, self-acceptance. When we accept ourselves, we can accept others into our lives, unconditionally, probably for the first time. IP, self-acceptance. From our earliest memories, many of us felt like we never belonged. No matter how big the gathering, we always felt apart from the crowd. We had a hard time fitting in. Deep down, we believed that if we really let others get to know us, they would reject us. Perhaps our addiction began to germinate in this climate of self-centeredness. Many of us hid the pain of our alienation with an attitude of defiance. In effect, we told the world, you don't need me, well, I don't need any of you either. I've got my drugs and I can take care of myself. The further our addiction progressed, the higher the walls we built around ourselves. Those walls begin to fall when we start finding acceptance from other recovering addicts. With this acceptance from others, we begin to learn the important principle of self-acceptance. And when we start to accept ourselves, we can allow others to take part in our lives without fear of rejection. Just for today, I am accepted in NA. I fit in. Today is safe to start letting others into my life.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, Taylor. Shh. Thank you, everyone, for reading. Halfway through the meeting, we will pass the 7 tradition basket. The 7 tradition states that every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. The money collected here pays for rent of the meeting place, literature, coffee, etc. This is a basic literature study meeting. We will read one paragraph at a time. Then we'll open the floor for discussion. When the discussion dies down, then we will say next paragraph, and we will move on. Tonight, we are on page 18. At the top of the page, it says now the question. Where am I at? Anyone with the desire can begin reading.
I'm gonna
My
go
name's
10.
William. Go ahead.
Now, the question is, we are powerless how can narcotics anonymous help? We begin by asking for help, and this is accomplished by working towards the foundation is the admission that we of ourselves have no power over addiction. When we can accept this, we have completed the first part of step one.
Next paragraph.
My name's William, I'm an addict.
Hey, William.
A second admission must be made until the salvation is complete. If we stop here, we will only know half the truth. We are great ones for manipulating the truth. We might say on one hand, yes, I am powerless over my addiction, and on the other hand, when I get my life together, I can handle drugs. Such thoughts and actions led us back to active addiction. It never occurred to us to ask, if we can't control our addiction, how can we control our lives? We felt miserable without drugs.
Thanks, William.
Thanks, William.
I'm Jennifer, and I'm an addict.
Hey, Jennifer.
I can totally relate to every part of this, well, both paragraphs, but, I really thought that, I would get my life back together, well, the court system, whether it's drug court or probation and parole, or the judge, whoever, and this shit worked, man. My lawyer told me, when you get out, go to an NA meeting. I did that. Not even a month later, I got me a place to live, I got my kids back, everything looked so pretty on the outside. And then as